You are listening to an All Games Radio Network broadcast of AllGames.com.
Welcome to the show.
Hi, this is Normie from Knuckleballer Radio and Zombie Cast, and you're listening to one of my favorite shows on the Geeky Antics Network. Don't forget to check out the rest of the gang over at geekyantics.net. Warning, there might be rants and food ahead and possibly inappropriate behavior. Don't tell anybody though.
You're about to listen to the Timey-Wimey Tea Time Podcast, a geekyantics.net and allgames.com production. Find out what everyone's talking about. The Doctor, of course. Doctor Who? Exactly, that Doctor. Join us live at www.twitch.tv/geekyantics. That's GEEKYANTICS. Hang out with us, ask questions, laugh, and have at it. We can't wait to hear what's on your minds and hearts.
Tiny, whiny tea time.
Greetings and welcome to Timey-Wimey Tea Time, where friends gather to talk about all things Doctor Who, sci-fi, fantasy, zombies, creativity, and geekdom as a whole. I'm Yomer Lopez, known throughout the interwebs and sometimes the Whoverse as Yogizilla. Friends IRL call me Yogi. And as Stan Farina has been known to say, I'm a gamer, a dreamer, an author of silliness, a disgruntled techie, a wild-eyed entrepreneur, and a fistful of happy emojicons and sunshine. I ride into the battle upon a glittering My Little Pony. Out of my mouth come laughing swords of peppermint and ginger. But I'm only part of the TWTT experience. And we usually have rotating hosts, but I'm solo once again. But you know, the show's also about you guys. So I want to say to all our lovely friends, new and old, thanks for joining us for this tea time. I hope you brought your drink of choice. Today I am having Dunkin' Donuts and Morgana Freya. Thank you for the host. Morgana Freya, of course, part of the gang, the Geeky Antics Network global community. Great people. You know, serious geeks, silly fun. That's what we pride ourselves in. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we're trying to do serious things, you know. But also have fun doing it. You can do both, right? It doesn't have to be an either-or proposition. So thanks for joining us. Like I said, I'm having Dunkin' Donuts donut shop blend. It's very it has a very New York City, or perhaps maybe most of the tri-state area, I would say, has like particular flavor of coffee. At least in maybe not completely. New York City, something about New York City coffee. You know, you get it from these carts or these little coffee shops, and whatever small ones still exist that haven't been, you know, overrun by the Starbucks of the world or the expensive upscale stuff out there. But it's something. Even the pizza is different, and maybe it's in the water, like they say, like the Dasani water that's on tap. It's really tasty. I like it. The donut shop coffee. I think they call it donut shop style, something like that. But donut shop. It's got the nice little sweetness to it. It's a nice mild flavor profile. You know, just very smooth. One of my favorites. My wife is more into the what is the one she likes? The vanilla biscotti or the cinnamon? I like the cinnamon. The biscotti or biscotti, whichever way you want to say it. I could take it or leave it. Anywho, today is October 1st, 2016, and this is episode 61 of TWTT. Ooh, we got lots of hosts. They're on point. They must be on autopilot. So, hey, Claude, thanks for the host, man. You'll probably be joining us shortly here. So, yeah, October 1st, first day of the month. We are a month out from officially starting Extra Life. Well, a month and 4 days, let's say. Yeah, a month and 5 days, actually, to be exact. I believe that's right? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's perfectly right. More or less. I'm like still waking up. Apparently, I don't have enough caffeine, so I'm trying to get on point. Anywho, back on point. Before we talk about what's on the show today, what we have planned for this episode, and really what the show's about, if you're new, I do want to announce that we'll likely have only one other episode in October. I was thinking about having no more episodes in October. That still might be on the table because it's gonna be a crazy month. We got a lot of work to do before Extra Life, and to also close out the year. So it's kind of good that we have no Doctor Who season this year. No episode outside of the Christmas episode. That gives us time to kind of regroup, so to speak. So that's that. And then we'll return. I'm thinking we'll just return mid-November. So it's gonna be about 4 weeks without the show. So maybe we'll have the October 15th episode, and then we'll come back November 15th. Give us a good 4 weeks to kind of, whatever that Saturday is. I think it might be the 14th or 16th. Let me see. Check the calendar real quick. Probably be November. Oh wow, November 19th. That's what we'll probably aim for. 19th or 12th, depending where we're at. So keep an eye on our Twitter feeds, and you stay on top of that. Again, I personally need to catch stuff, make the stuff for take off. That's why I have my weekly. I don't want this pump so take out and be a good fit in there. I hope you would. I hope we're in the same going. Mix it up, and I like the only thing that little baddie, just a little baddie. Also, it seems like my mic is having some issues because every now and then it'll cut off. So pretty soon I'm gonna have to ask Santa Claus for a new microphone, new recording equipment, and maybe some soundproofing stuff too. Get some of the acoustics reduced in this man cave / studio. So that's that. And speaking of Extra Life, we will get more into that this episode because this is a special edition of Time and Miami Tea Time. We're gonna pretty much throw out the script and just kind of free flow it and cover some main topics. Try to aim for an hour long. That seems to be the sweet spot for podcasts these days as the tensions diminish. 30 minutes to a half hour. So 30 minutes to a half hour to an hour or so. So we're gonna try to aim for that sweet spot. If I can stop going off on tangents. So yeah, that's why I need a co-pilot. I need a co-pilot to keep me in check. But for details on that, geekyantics.net/extra life. It's we're not officially sponsored or partnered with the Children's Miracle Network, but we are one of the teams doing Extra Life this year. So there is official capacity in that regard. And it's to raise money for kids for children that need medical attention. I mean, it's a good cause. We've done a lot of charity stuff before individually. But this is the first time we're going to really do it as a team, and we asked the community to join us in rallying because it's hard for a lot of us to do this kind of stuff on our own. But together, we can do some big things if everybody just does a little bit. That's the whole idea behind this network. It's a collaboration. Well, folks, we are live on Twitch and All Games Radio, allgames.com. every other Saturday, usually. So you should join us. This Saturday, today, this fine October 1st, allgames.com feed seems to be down. Maybe have some tech issues. It happens, growing pains and whatnot. I mean, they've been doing it for over 15 years, so, stuff is bound to break. That's just technology. But we are live right now on twitch.tv/Geeky Antics. And we do this show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and that's 5 p.m. GMT if you're in the UK. So I've been still kind of toying, considering changing the time. It's interesting. It changes our tone to do the show early in the afternoon, because then we get more of that global audience, especially with the Whovian and stuff. You can come in right before Doctor Who airs in a lot of places, and kind of make predictions for what's gonna happen. Or just talk about the last episode, stuff like that. Makes sense. But I don't know. It does help me keep this show clean, because we do to keep the show family friendly. At night, I tend to be a little turned up, a little more hype, and I just get crazy and I speak from the heart. But I'm really a big fan of being authentic, being true to yourself. Of course, that doesn't mean that you just can't be considerate or mindful of people, your audience, your friends, your family. You always have to be mindful. But also, walking on eggshells is not good for your soul either. So be true to yourself. But we do keep this show clean, which is a challenge. It's a challenge. Sometimes you get passionate. You may drop some choice words. But we try to keep this as accessible for the greater geeky community. So what is Timey Wimey Tea Time? So if you're new to the show, if you're new to our tea time, you may notice that we don't talk much Doctor Who. That's because this show has evolved into more of a platform for deep yet casual conversations about anything geeky or creative. We just go deeper on video games, sci-fi, fantasy, fandoms, and the overall creative process, behind things we love. We banter a bit, but we don't banter as much as we do on other shows, because we know that's an opportunity a lot of podcasts and podcasters have. There's a lot of overlap between Timey Wimey Tea Time and other Geeky Antics flagship shows and exclusive shows, but we do keep it clean, and we try to approach the topics from a more more creative, perhaps nerdy perspective. So when I say creative, it's kind of just getting to the mindset of how can you make this thing better? What's the thought process into building this thing, this mythos, this platform, this video game, whatever it is, what's the narrative you're trying to highlight? How are you developing the characters? How are you, communicating value? We get into all those kind of aspects. Sometimes it's a little businessy. Sometimes it's a little more on the artistic side. But everything has a creative component, and I kind of would say, you have the science. Pretty much every venture, every pursuit in life has the science. It's the really hard stuff, right? Like the tangibles, the numbers, your metrics, your KPIs, your analytics, the logic behind the clear graphs. You have this abstract. It's more experimental. It's more just what's going on. I think it's very important. That's just the so like I said, we're pretty much throwing out the script, the segmentation we usually have, and I want to just do a little heart-to-heart, kind of catch up with y'all out there, and talk about how my week's been, how my last month was, September, and kind of like where my head's at, what our plans are, what my plans are personally, and what the network's plans are going into 2017, stuff like that. But first, on a smaller scale, if you know me even a little bit, you know that I love cats, and I just love observing their behaviors. And we have 4 cats: Bebes, Jasper, of course Blue, that's my baby right there, and then we got Schmunkin, the latest edition. She's growing up so fast. And I say, I am a parent, but something about animals is just, they're just so much more delicate. They can't really take care of themselves. Yeah, cats are more independent, but they are a lot more dependent than people think, and they do grow attached. Because I've had plenty of cats that have had separation anxiety. Like Blue, if I go away on a business trip, which I try to avoid, I usually work from home. Mind the fort, because otherwise, things go up in flame. Sometimes literally, it's kind of scary. But she won't eat, and I'll get calls like she's not eating. She hasn't been coming out of her hiding spots. And I mean, last time I think I went to Washington D.C. to visit a friend who wasn't doing well, and then when I was doing work out there, and it's actually Stanfordina. We had a great time, we got a lot of work done, but the whole time I was just worried sick about my cats, my babies, my pets. I mean, I love my dogs too, but just something about the cats is doing for me. And Blue, apparently, she went in between a little crawl space between one of the counters and the stove. I don't know how she fit in there. And she stayed there for a couple of days. And the kids didn't want to worry me, so they just tried to handle it on their own. They gotten better about not calling me every time something goes wrong. Calling me when they, really need me or really miss me. The latter's kind of rare, but parenting, thankless job, like a lot of other things. But you love everybody anyway, right? You gotta have a compassionate, generous heart and not expect anything in return. Otherwise, you'll be very disappointed in life. Yeah. That sounds bitter, but no, it's just give for the sake of giving, for bringing goodness into the world, and I probably sound like I'm going on a high horse, but be that change that you want to see in the world. That's very important, and I'm very big on getting everyone in that more compassionate mode, especially if you're part of our community and you're a contributor for our network. You're still an independent contributor, and I want to focus on the independent part. You still are free to do what you want, but we do try to get everyone to abide by certain core values, so we show a more unified front, and we can really bring good change into the world. Not just unique content, but just a unique approach to life as well. It's everything we do. So Blue, if some of you watched, when I started, it's 2-3 years ago, when I was really heavy into streaming. You saw when Blue was a kitten, and she grew up on stream. She likes to sit on my shoulder. She doesn't do that much now because she's big now. But she used to sit on my shoulder and watch me play my games, work on my computer. Just the things, the different personalities the cats have is just very distinct to me. And when I look at dogs, not much variety. There's not much variance or distinction. I don't know what the best word would be, but basically with dogs, you have the dogs that's a dog that's yelpy, and a dog that's not. A dog that's really energetic, and a dog that's lazy, and then that's pretty much it. Dogs have personality. I'm not a big fan. I'm clearly biased towards cats, but the subtleties of cats is really fascinating. Like Blue now likes to open up shelves. She likes to open up drawers, rather. She could sometimes she could open doors. That's rare, but she's gotten really good about opening up drawers, like pulling them out, whether they have a handle or not. And sometimes taking out contents she finds, the contents that she finds interesting, and or going inside the drawer. Yeah. You know, and I think one of the things that I really like about cats is when I observe them, I see creatures that are really intelligent. They don't get, a lot of people don't understand them, and they're just mysterious, but, you know, they're so free, you know, and they just enjoy the simple things in life. I mean, you can say that about a lot of animals, but it's just, there's a certain intrigue, allure to cats, and I kind of appreciate that now. In a way, I can relate to that. You know, people in general talk about pets and how they mirror their owners. At least when you talk about dogs and cats, maybe not so much if you have a reptile or a bird, because they're not as intelligent, right? The lower brain capacity. Let's talk about like African grey. Those are really smart animals. But I wonder about them, like cause or effect. The whole pets mirroring their owners. It's a really interesting thing. I'm trying to think how Blue has always been and how she's kind of evolved. I think it might be something where she's always been the way she is, and it's part of the reason I feel such a bond with her. Like, Blue's the cat in the family that everybody likes to write off as the demon spawn, because she's not very social. She likes to keep to herself. You know, she hides in places. Doesn't really come up to strangers unless she likes. Like, she's a very good judge of character, I have to say. So she would just give affection to anyone. She's protective of her loved one. If someone's talking to me, she'll come out of hiding and like keep like rubbing on me. Maybe I don't know. Really good sense of people's feelings, but she's more of an introvert, and I can relate to that, because she's really my cat. Like, you know, we got the 3 other cats that everybody lays claim to, but at the end of the day, I'm the one cleaning the cat litter and feeding them on a regular basis. So, you know, the kids might bathe the cats every now and then and play with them, but I'm the one that's dealing with them day in and day out and loving on them and all that, and breaking apart fights when they're getting a little too intense with the playing. But yeah, you know, like that's why Blue is like my cat. She's my like my daughter, man. Like I don't see her as an animal. I see her as family. You know, like my blood. So she likes people, but she also really places a high premium on her privacy, her personal space, and her peace of mind. And that's kind of how I am. Like, I love people, but I don't go out of my way to be outgoing and, you know, make a lot of friends. To me, it's more about less connection, but more quality connections. You know, because people say they have a lot of friends. When it really comes down to it, everybody has maybe 5 to 10 true friends, and everyone else is kind of just there out of convenience, you know. And it's sad to say, but that's just reality. I mean, if you look at the Dunbar number, what's the number? Men can handle maximum 100 relationships, like true relationships, maintaining those relationships, right? And women could go up to like 120. I think they actually proved that men are even lower than like more like 80. Like nurturing real relationships, right? Like ongoing, checking in, you know. None of this like months or years later you touch base with someone. Hey, how's it going? Okay, cool. Talk to you in another 2 years. You know. This is really interesting stuff to think about. So cats, of course, you know, people say, oh, they don't really need their owners, and they don't experience separation anxiety, and they're mean. All BS. That's all stuff people made up because they're dog lovers and they're bigots. Let me drink some of my coffee here. So anyway, I could go off. I could definitely go deep on why I love cats and why I'm just an animal person. You know, animals live mostly off of instinct. You know, they build things over habit, and then, you know, this nurture nature. But, you know, they're mainly just they have their routines, right? And they usually don't go out of those parameters too much, unless something changes in their environment. But I feel sometimes that our pets have more dignity and common sense than their human counterparts, and that's sad to say. These days, I definitely appreciate our pets more than a lot of human people I know, sadly. Because, you know, humans, the thing with us is that we're just constantly kind of indulging in content and silly pursuits and busy work that keeps us from focusing on the simple things that build value over time, like nurturing our relationships, right? And there's so much content vying for our attention, and yet your Netflix and your Hulu and, you know, just non-stop stuff on YouTube and Twitch, and everybody's screaming for your attention. Eventually something has to give. Pets, they don't have to deal with all that. They live simple lives, streamlined, and then they don't just survive. They don't just exist. I think they really do thrive. We look at them like, man, that's got to be a boring life, but they don't complain. That's a human thing. We're the only creatures in the animal kingdom that truly self-inflict ourselves with depression and complacency and angst and all this stuff. You just can't be content. Not satisfied. You always want to reach something higher. You're just content. You know what I mean? Anywho. So, plans going into 2017. You know, October, November, December. Oh, man. 3 more months. Last quarter of the year. It just freaking hit me this morning, too. Like, it's October 1st. Soon Thanksgiving will be here. Then, you know, Christmas madness. And then tax season. It's like, oh, it's a new year, you know. And it's a great time to reflect on the things that are coming. Enjoy cooler weather, right? I'm definitely looking forward to that. During the blistering heat, it's just, I'm not as effective. It just tires me out. I mean, I love warm weather, but it does suck a lot of energy out of you. So yeah, I'm just thinking a lot about stuff that's going on and how I can get others involved. And I don't know. So lately, I've been working with the NISM, the National Institute of Social Media, which I like to call NISM, but that hasn't really caught on. And I've worked with them in many different ways. Now I've been on the board of advisors, and they just appointed me to the chairman position. I'm the chair of the board, which I'm really honored by. It's going to be a lot of work. And full disclosure, it's not a paid position, because it can't be. That's the conflict of interest. But I'm really excited about that because, you know, we're working on really great things. There's a great need for what the NISM is doing. And it's very in line with what I'm already doing in my own personal pursuits and what we're doing on the Geeky Antics Network. And it's got me just thinking a lot more about just the ebb and flow of social media, or just social, period. How people come in and out of our lives. Sometimes the same people coming in and out. And there's so many people that we have contributing to the network that are part of the gang, our community, in some capacity. But the ones that are truly consistent and reliable, I could probably count on 2 hands. And a lot of people complain about the same thing. It's like, man, I got all these likes, but I just can't get anyone to get the Y. And something I'm doing wrong, or did I fail? Am I missing something? Magic bullet? You get desperate, and we start to defeat, right? But that's really the ebb and flow of social period, because again, tug of war, you get repeat our lives in personal things. It's the same, really, because one got in full attack from everything else and else in their lives, and it's just who is tugging hardest. You know, peace is a very important thing. That's why tradition is all spring. You stay current. You're recently, you know, with make decision to do that, you be and that applies to all kind of relationships, you know. So if you constantly talk to your friend about how you're working on a book, you know, and you the challenges thereof, and maybe you involve them in some of your decision making, you know, just casually, then when they're looking to buy a book, or they're having writing issues, or they talk to a friend that's talking about similar things, you might come up in a conversation. Stuff like that happens all the time, you know. And it's the tricky part is being, you know, finding that balance between being persistent and not being a nag or a spammer. So why do people ghost, though? That's the tricky part. Like, there's people that consistently, and I'd say it's the majority of folks that everyone knows, that just, you know, they're like sprinters, right? A lot of people are not marathon runners. They can't go the long haul and keep doing things consistently. They're more sprinters. They go in really hard, attack certain tasks, certain activities, and then they kind of disappear. They're off the grid. They shift to something else, either because they didn't get the results they expected, you know, they didn't temper their expectations, or something else that's more interesting and more fun, you know, more sexy, kind of swayed their attention, you know. And that's what we've said about that. When you set goals, always temper expectations, because it's easy to expect really big things. Maybe you're setting the wrong goals. You know, you gotta set SMART goals, and we've defined what SMART goals are. If you don't know what that is, look it up. But you know, there's a difference between having goals and having wishes. You want to dream big, but when it comes down to setting goals, you need to really make them actionable. That's really what it comes down to. If they're not actionable, then you're just wishing. And so people ghost because, you know, it's just easier to give up on something. And a lot of times we give up on things, we're on the verge of a major breakthrough. I like what Jeannie Dietrich over at Armand Dietrich, one of the best marketing firms out there, in my opinion. She's one of the best personalities, best speakers. Just an amazing woman. She's out of Chicago too, which is a very, very competitive market. So the fact that she's doing it big out there, you know, Chicago is like New York City. You know, only the creme de la creme survive, stay in the conversation. She's also the author of Spin Sucks, another great book you gotta definitely check out if you really want to do some good personal development and really understand what marketing is all about. Because, by the way, we're all marketers. We're all selling something, you know, in some capacity. Understanding what the psychology of marketing, the theory behind it, is very important, I think, for everyone if you really want to improve your life and have more consistent results. I know that's the thing. It's scary. Like, people feel like, oh, they like to make fun of it. Like, oh, Tony Robbins, and the personal development infomercial. He sounds so salesy. But if you're not, like, learning things every day and really improving yourself and constantly making course corrections, you're just kind of surviving and floating through life. So, man, that's the majority of the world. It's just easy, just gonna go through the routine, and be about, you know, a robot about it, I guess, or a zombie. But Jeannie has really cool concepts and kind of pillars and core values that she likes to incorporate into all her speaking engagements and, all the work she does. One of the things she talks about is type OO personalities. And I would say these are a majority of people you'll run into. They're output-only personalities. Maybe they're not a majority, but I feel like, at least in my circles, most people are OO, type OO. And output-only, those are people that only talk about themselves, and they just spam. They self-promote 99% of the time. They're also, on social media just because really that everybody else is, but they don't understand the social part. So her big thing is, in order to succeed as a brand, become a brand that people want to help. Now that sounds like super obvious, right? Yeah, be something, be a company, be an author, a streamer, a YouTuber, a podcaster that people want to help, right? So but what does that mean? Being approachable. Is it easy to contact you? Is it easy to connect with you? It means constantly communicate your core values. Be consistent and clear about your messaging. Right? So you attract like-minded people. Like, everybody has different beliefs. We all can't agree. That's just the reality of things. So focus on the people that share the things with you that are non-negotiable. Because if there's certain things that are non-negotiable, you don't want to force the fit and be like, well, I guess I can concede on that, but I don't like it. Find the people that have those core values, those things that are really important to you, and then you can work on the rest together. And also embrace the differences too, because you can't agree on everything. And the differences also what make relationships so exciting. We learn more about ourselves and each other and the world, by connecting with people. And then whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, I think that's equally important. No matter where you're at in the spectrum, really. So being social with social media now, it's something people are not doing on the most part. I run into this with clients, with friends, colleagues, family. It's just a squawk box, a lot of noise. No one's really sharing value and trying to open up doors and create conversations. Most things you see out there on social media is just, they're not actionable really. It's just like one-sided. And there's a place for that stuff, but it's crazy. What's impressive about Jeannie is that she actually used to pretend. She had like an alter ego. She used to, when she was first starting out, she pretended to be a man, because early in her career, women weren't being taken seriously in the marketing world and the business world as a whole. So she wanted to carve out a niche and use her charms as a woman. There's certain things that women are proficient at that men aren't, but she also pretended to be a man. So she was really outgoing, really good conversationalist, great sense of humor. She just understood the social aspect of social media and in marketing, really, in business. And finally, one day, she made the reveal. Hi, look, because she was working with people, kind of like, over the internet. It was online stuff. A lot of times you don't have many. This is early internet. People didn't really do webcam stuff or whatever. And she did that stuff, and it worked. I guess she was doing subcontracting work, and picked up her own gigs here and there until she made a name for herself, for her firm. And now they're a full service company. They focus mostly on PR, but PR is like something that it has so much overlap with other facets of marketing and business as a whole that you're gonna find that everybody's doing some form of PR these days, because you kind of have to, brand, manage, respond to brand sentiment, managing your brand identity. others. Now, the flip side of that is someone like me. I've spent so much time helping others that I've kind of stifled my own work, and now I'm getting to the point where it's like I have to say no to a lot of people so I can say yes to the right ones. So that's one of the big things going into the new year is, we're getting a lot of people that want to be part of our stream team and want to get involved with the Geeky Antics Network. But a lot of times it's just people that aren't really serious. They just kind of throw something out there. They want to do a kind of one and done thing and go on autopilot. No, automation is cool, but we need people that are going to actually be approachable, engaged, and not be a chore to keep up with and, kind of be dead weight. There's enough people like that. We don't want a head count. It's not about having a huge team and no one really does anything. It's about having a team that actually has people to do stuff. And right now we're kind of split. There's a lot of folks that are just kind of sitting there, and we're hoping. I keep hoping. I keep trying to empower those folks to step up and give them things, simple opportunities to do. But it's a different world right now. People, I feel like if things do not fall in their lap, they are not doing anything about it. So, with that, I guess we'll come back to some of those thoughts. That's my heart to heart. And I still love everybody. I still want to help people. I still want to be there for you. But I am getting to that point now where I really have to focus on some things, and kind of become a little antisocial, so I can make, say more no's now, so I can say yes to the things that really matter down the road, and make more time for the people that truly matter. And I know it sounds terrible, okay? Everybody matters, but there's the people that matter, in the sense that I care about you, I love you. And then there's the people that matter in the sense that right now I'm focusing my time on you because you're ready to at least reciprocate to some degree. And I don't mean 50-50, I want it to be a one-to-one exchange. But at least, give some effort back. And that's just, some people just want to take, but not give back, and that's not good. And that number, percentage, it's bigger than it should be. I feel like there's a lot of inequity in the world in that regard. Everybody's all about themselves, and that's probably something that's always been that way. It's just now amplified and made more evident by the information age and social media and the internet and all that stuff. So anyway, if you want to connect with us on Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/Geeky Antics. We have groups on Facebook, the Geeky Antics Xbox and PC gaming community. We have Geeky Antics TESO or TESO, the L Scrolls Online. And then we're also working on the Geeky Antics Fantasy Sports group. I don't know if it'll be just fantasy. It's supposed to be Fantasy Football Theory Craft. And we might talk about other fantasy sports. But hopefully that'll come as well. Xbox Live, you connect with me. I'm YogiZilla on Xbox Live. We also have the Geeky Antics Network Club on Xbox. You have to be a preview member right now to get in there, but it will be soon. I think they're rolling it out this month to the public. And clubs will be available under the community tab, and I think also in a new app after the beta period, the testing period is over. I'm YogiZilla on Steam. You can reach us on Twitter at Geeky Antics or at YogiZilla. Voicemail and text the line. Voicemail and SMS 646-801-2149. Again, 646-801-2149. That's a U.S. number, just so you know. Long distance charges may apply. Email, that's still a thing. TWTT at geekyantics.net. And of course, you can connect via our blog, private messaging, forums, and all that good stuff over at geekyantics.net. You can also tag us in posts, and it'll notify people. It's a social dashboard. I'm really proud of what I've done with the site. There's still a lot more to do, and hope to see more people taking advantage of it. So we're going to do a TWTT word of the day, and then I have a few more ponderings today. Actually, it looks like we're going to go over an hour at this rate. I kind of went deep on the heart to heart, but I had stuff to get off my chest and share with you. I like to be transparent, and hopefully that resonated with some folks out there. Let's see more collaboration. You know, try to give a little more than you take, and you'll be surprised the hearts you open up and the change you bring. You know, lead by example. So the TWTT word of the day is amphibole, and it's a noun that means ambiguity of speech, especially from uncertainty of the grammatical construction rather than of the meaning of the words, as in, the Duke yet lives that Henry shall depose. That is a bit of a confusing sentence. The Duke yet lives that Henry shall depose. Using a quote, maybe it was better to evade the issue, to delay, to be ambiguous and equivocal, indulge in vagueness, anaculathon, and amphibole. That's from Malik, The Cemetery of Swallows, translated by Stephen Rendall, Sound 13. I like that. It's a good quote. Amphibole. So, you have hyperbole and amphibole. And I just bring them up because they're both kind of relevant to writing, to the creative process thereof. Amphibole, vague, confusing structure, grammatical structure. Not necessarily incorrect, just hard to follow. Maybe like an Ernest Hemingway, right? So, let me get a little swig of my coffee again. Let's talk extra life here. And that is the big focus of this episode. There's not much to say right now, outside what has been said. But just to reinforce everything, we are looking for brands. And when I say brands, I mean people that have budgets and motivation to do bigger things. You want brand exposure, you know. Oh wait, is Fatal joining us? Oh. Let's see if he's gonna unmute his mic. Ula, are you here? Alright, he's probably gonna pop in eventually. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily need to be a business. We are trying to focus on small businesses, small to medium businesses, and individuals. When I say individuals, authors, streamers, event coordinators, you know, stuff like that. But the small, like, squirrels. It's squirrels. Yeah, there you go. How's it going, Ula?
Going good. Going pretty good. I had the worst part of the morning, so I woke up. I looked at the clock. I was like, 9 in the morning. I could go back to sleep. Woke up again. Hey guys, what time is it? 1 o'clock. What day is it? Oh boy. Hi guys. Got logged in and.
But let's give me a short. The talking about that one show that we want to get time in other for weeks that show 50 and
Okay.
So, all right. When it rains, it pours. You know, it'll be things like there's a lot of things we charge for, basically, like banner ads and like plugs on our podcast and, you know, other promotional services, and we'll be offering those as an exchange for people donating large amounts. Right now, the points we're looking at are like 100, 500, and 1,000, and that's tentative. The average donation on Extra Life the past few years has been like $50, and so that's we want to incentivize like the bigger donations. So that's the plan, and then one of the things we'll have is like a big landing page that will promote actively with all our sponsors for Extra Life, and that'll be a good way to like bring more traffic to your site, because we have tons of traffic. People don't realize, like right now if you Google or Bing Geeky Network, I mean sometimes we drop off, but like for the past couple of years we've been like on the front page, or if not number one, if you search for Geeky Network. So that's pretty cool, and we have a lot of stuff that shows up on the top of a lot of articles that shows up and videos that show up on the front of searches. So people are finding our stuff. So we're giving you some of that traffic, some of that link juice. SEO, anyone? It's brand exposure, and it's for a good cause. You help the kids, and we make it extra sexy. It's kind of like PBS. When they do the telethons, their marathons, fundraisers, and all that, and they give you like silly things, something silly like, here, you get this tote where you could put your books and your vegetables and stuff when you're shopping.
Could you potentially store an assortment of jams?
You could store an assortment of jams. Why not? Jam on it. That's what we need. We need a Geeky Antics like tote. We go to Whole Foods with it. We need to get some of those big spenders.
For the environment.
Yeah, there you go. It's good for the environment. And get some of those big spenders, people that are spending like 2 to 3 times as much on their groceries because they can. But they like justify by saying it's organic. Yeah. That industry, I have mixed feelings about it. Like, yep, there's something to be said about farm fresh, but organic is. The people don't realize a lot of the organic stuff is being put up by the same company that puts out the crap stuff. So they're doing it on purpose so they can increase. They purposely take away value from their food, so their like high end product looks more attractive, and then they can mark it up.
It's the same thing they did with gas.
Oh yeah,
we're adding lead to gas because it'll give you better mileage. Wait a little while. We're taking away lead from gas, so unleaded's gonna cost more now. Because it's better for you. And I'm sure in a few years we're putting lead back in gas. Or no, actually, then it became we're putting the ethanol in gas. And then here after a while they'll be like, we're removing ethanol. So you get the this kind of burn, and your car will work better.
Yeah, is ethanol a vegetable byproduct anyway?
Yeah, it's corn.
Yeah.
Like a variation of a corn alcohol.
Which is illegal to drink, but fine to put in your cars.
Yeah. Your car can get, ethanol moonshined up, but not you. Don't do it. Bad.
Yeah. Of course, if you have a friend that can make corn-based whiskey or moonshine, hey. Good times. No one needs to know. We're also working a lot of like promotional materials. If you go to our Facebook page, we got a bunch of images you can share on your feeds, put on your Twitch channel, your YouTube channel, wherever you want to put it. These are just ways to promote what we're doing. Of course, the short link is really easy to remember. geekyantics.net/extra life. We'll put that in the show notes too, so people reading that could see. We're working on a custom overlay. We're taking what Extra Life has provided and then just working it into like Geeky Antics brand. So again, presenting a unified front. So a custom overlay for that. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, I love to stream, but I don't know how to make overlays." Well, we got you covered. So the only thing you need to do, the only thing anyone really needs to do is just show up. Boom, that's it. Just show up. And again, if people are like, a lot of folks showed interest in being part of the stream team, don't worry about the schedule. Let's just get as many people to sign up as possible, and then we'll just communicate with each other like we do with every other marathon. if you commit to a certain time and then you can't make it because, you know, your kid runs into a table and busts open his head, which has happened, you know, or, you know, I don't know, one of your dogs tears off the other dog's tail in a fight. I mean, great stuff happens. A meteor goes through your window, or a tree goes through your window. That happened to me though one time. Tree almost stabbed me through the window. Good times. You know, stuff. Life happens. Then, you know, you just text us. You know, we'll be on Discord throughout the event, and we'll have the more the merrier, because then we'll have more people to fill in. So they're not really gonna necessarily be a hard schedule, because that's just not something realistic right now. But we plan to have some particular days and time slots where we'll have something special, and everybody's gonna be doing like their own little thing. Like, I know Chris, depending on how much people donate, he'll let them choose the next game to play, or, you know, if it's something, if they like to donate a certain amount, he'll do something really crazy, like, you know, tell them they have full control over how he plays, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, that could be trollerific, you know, but you know, for a good cause. So everybody individually will be doing those stuff, and then the incentives we're doing as a network are more for people that in advance donate large amounts, so we can start promoting those people. And the goal too is to stream for a week long, because we've done 80 plus hours before, so we could do a week. But again, we need people to sign up for that on the stream team. And then, well, you know, there's also some people throwing ideas around for more promo materials. We're working on podcast bumpers. We're doing social media takeovers. We're changing all the banners, all the logos, all that stuff, so it reflects extra life. And it's gonna be consistent. Like, on the YouTube channel, we got a new banner there, a new banner. Hello. There we go. When it rains, it pours. Yeah, 20K, and then some people say, well, that's a really high number. I know we could do it. Like, I have that full confidence we could do it. Everybody, like, you know, gets their head out of you know where. You know, and I rather said, I believe you should set high goals rather than low goals. Like, don't set a goal that you know you're gonna meet. 'Cause that's not a goal. That's just like playing it safe. All right, our goal is $10. All right, we better go! Yay!
Yeah, shoot for the stars kind of thing.
Yeah, you gotta
go big or go home.
Yeah, you get people excited. We fall short. But, you know, that goal is gonna determine how much work everybody has to put in. You know, we got one donation so far, and not really too exciting, but, you know, still 8 donations, so that's some momentum. You know, and I know people are apprehensive about causes and charities and all that stuff, but, you know, the information's there, so you can learn more about it. You know, Children's Miracle Network, they're pretty transparent. You know, just do the homework. You know, what do you got to lose? I mean, people donate to, you know, they give money to Kickstarters. They call it investing, but they're not really investing because they don't own a share in the company. I mean, it's an investment to a degree, sure, but not a true investment. People buy cups of coffee, $5, $7, $8 a pop. They don't think twice about that. Or why? Because you're consuming it. But it's you know, something that's perishable. You know, there's always something you can cut out so you can afford it and not feel bad about it. Like,
you don't buy coffee; you merely rent it.
You merely rent it. There you go. I mean, look at video games. Video games, what, in most places they're like $60, $65 with, you know, when you look at after taxes.
Yeah. Depending on what kind of game you're getting. I mean, sometimes there's collector's editions and deluxe editions that go upwards of from $100 to $250, and all you're getting is a little art book and a figurine.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're not getting the timeless memory of doing something fun, like making, you know, Chris from Gaming Death jump off a cliff backwards while yelling YOLO and hitting a dab. Like,
oh, it's gonna be crazy.
You could Giphy Cat that and have that, you know, forever.
Well, and in Canada too, by the way, they got crazy taxes, and their video games. At least if you buy it digitally, they're spending like $10 to $30 more per game. It's like a what is it like a? It's like a 10 to 50% markup almost at times. Like when Rock Band came out, like Rock Band, the whole kit came out in the States for like 150, I think, or 180, and in like Canada it was like 250 or 300, something insane. I'm like, wow. So these are things we spend money on that you don't really need. Like, there's always something we give up, and I'm not trying to be preachy, but it's a great cause. Just put yourself in the shoes of the children. Maybe you're one of those people because I do see a trend in the geek community where less and less people are having kids. Like I see more and more people rather like, I don't want to ever have kids. I want my freedom, and I want my patients to go just to me. 'Cause me. It's like that only child syndrome, And that's cool. That's your prerogative. But imagine if you were in dire need of medical assistance, and you knew that if all your friends gave $5, $10, $50, you'd be able to get a procedure done, and then no one donated. Imagine that. How terrible would you feel? Asking for a loan of $10,000. Hey, yeah, just give them something so I go to the one less movie this month. Skip a few cups of coffee this month,
Yeah.
That's I hopefully that it impresses upon people the urgency here. And if you are a parent, you know how it is when your kids get sick, and you're worried like, will my insurance cover this, or how much is going to be the deductible, and how much is it going to cost for XYZ, and it can get expensive. There's a lot of insurance. Even if you have insurance. My insurance don't cover everything. You gotta pay out of pocket with stuff. I think it's expensive. Oof. I'm stressing myself out. But other projects we're working on. I've been talking for the past few months about a mobile app. Unfortunately, I do have that on hiatus right now because that's contingent upon some cash flow stuff, and I don't want to take away from our efforts for Extra Life charity. So that might come out this month in October. More than likely, it'll be late November, early December, depending how our own fundraising goes. And again, we're gonna do our Patreon. We still have our links to donate, but I'm not pushing for that as hard. I don't want to kind of overlap and double dip, so to speak. I really want to push for Extra Life. It's a great cause again, and if you give people too many things to focus on, they don't do anything. So if you remember anything from this episode, Extra Life. What are we talking about, Oolong?
Extra Life?
Yeah.
And squirrels.
Squirrels.
But mainly Extra Life.
And squirrels. My mic keeps cutting out. I don't know what's going on. Weird. I have like a weird bug. This is gonna be a fun episode to edit. Well, what else? Trying to think what else we. So the work, I've been kind of on and off. I'm undecided about it. I kind of want to make an online application form for people that want to join our team, but there's a few challenges with that. I don't know if I want to go with a third-party solution or just keep it in-house like everything else, because there's consideration of maintenance and costs, and it may not seem like a big thing, but it is. So I'm trying to cut down on some of the things that do take up a lot of time that don't really need to. We are working on a team handbook, a new team handbook / marketing guide / best practices, tips and trick type of thing, like a cheat book, whatever you want to call it. And that's gonna have like a built-in kind of app / questionnaire, so we can get to know people better and enable you for success. when I empower people to not just be part of the team, but do the right things for themselves and for the team. It's all about creating those mutually beneficial scenarios again. You know, you always hear win-win or win-win-win scenario. What the heck does that mean? Well, it means, you know, it's something that helps out the team, it helps you out, and it helps out the consumers, the audience, and that's the kind of stuff we want to focus on. So we're gonna this handbook, this collective kit, so to speak, is gonna give you a very clear ways to execute upon that. It's gonna make the big picture clearer. And if after that people still don't get it, then I don't know what else to do. I mean, I can leave you a delicious cake on the table for you to eat, but you still gotta walk up to it. I mean, I'm not gonna bring it to your bed. You gotta make some effort. Right? All right.
Yeah.
Are you playing WoW?
No, I am not. Ha, joke's on you.
You're playing Crush Crush.
Yes, I am.
What the heck is Crush? What the heck is Crush Crush?
It's like a clicker. Well, it's sort of a clicker game. It's weird.
It's one of those idle games.
Pretty much, yeah. It's one of those things you can kind of play just randomly.
Ah.
Obi says he's playing WoW.
Of course he is. Tell him I'm gonna play some Siege after the show.
Yogi says he's gonna play some Siege after the show.
Oh yeah.
Yogi said he's playing some Siege after the show. But yeah, I don't know. I can't wait. Like one of the cool things I want to try and do with the Extra Life thing, since we're still kind of talking about the Extra Life thing. The Infinite Warfare will be out the day before everything kind of starts.
Oh yeah.
And so I want to try and do some Infinite Warfare zombie Easter egg hunting, and maybe some cool matches, and if someone donates, let them pick a class for me and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good game for that because they can set up the class for you. It's like, all right, you can only use a pistol and these perks. It's like, yeah. Ooh.
You can only go around with no weapons, no perks, and punch people.
Oh my lord. Yeah, that'd be good stuff. And again, this is not just keep in mind even if you can't join the team, you can still help out by sharing the promos, telling people about what we're doing in our network, on our team, pointing them to our Facebook page, our groups, donating right now. That's great. Sooner is better than later. Because a lot of times you need that initial activity to get other people to feel comfortable doing it. It's really hard to get the first ones of anything. Comments, donations, shares. But once a few people do it, then it starts to snowball. And it's just the way it is. Because everybody's afraid, can I trust this? Is this legit? That paranoia. But yeah, Extra Life, super excited about that. And then it'll be great just to have people that could give us suggestions, what they would find value in the experience, what kind of games they would like to see, so we can start advertising the games we'll be playing as well, not just the sponsors. That's the kind of stuff we want to do. So give us ideas for promo materials, for the games to focus on, what kind of perks, live or not, you'd like to see, all that stuff. Again, TWTT at geekyantics.net. Actually, just send that to mail at geekyantics.net. Or better yet, business is geekyantics.net. That's a really business thing. Even though this is not a for-profit thing, it is something that we're really want to be very professional with. So business at geekyantics.net. If you have any ideas for content, promos, perks, incentives, potential sponsors, all that kind of stuff to help us really do a good job with Extra Life, that's the best place to send it. But all those other email addresses, if you send it there, that's fine too. It'll get to the right person. We're also working on improving our Twitter and Facebook integration on the site, kind of tweaking the schedule. For people that contribute to the site, we're working on a new editorial calendar and tools so we can focus on the right kind of content and kind of get everybody involved, setting up photo galleries and articles, reviews, all that kind of stuff. And then we're also working on podcast feeds and tools. So there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. Some quick news tidbits, and then we'll talk about what we're playing and wrap up the show. We talked about this on Horseplay Live, which I want to let everybody know. It's one of the great other shows, on the network, but it is NSFW. Definitely not safe for work, not safe for kids. But that is that's our flagship show for the network. It's basically the talk radio show where we cover all the things going on in the Geeky Network, in the community, and we really just let loose. Oh yeah. Blight Me has a good suggestion. He says get a EL donation link in the info area. Yes, I gotta get that on there, on the Twitch page. Like the simplest opportunity. But yeah, I will do that. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Like I said, there's so many things on the to-do list. We're gonna get that. But yeah, for now, if you just go to geekyantics.net/extra life, that's where you can see the information. So yeah, news, quick news, very quick news. So I don't know if we mentioned this recently. I don't think I don't think we mentioned it in the past 2 shows or so. But Ubisoft is celebrating 30 years of doing what they do. So they're giving a free game every month, and they have an app for that. There's an app for that. There's an app for everything. You want to use Uplay on your PC to download the games, or actually you just add them to your library and you can download them later if you want. It's very, very simple. I don't know if you can do it through the Club Ubisoft mobile app. I haven't tried. If you can just add games to your library. But yeah, Ubi30. Yep. The UB30 is or UB. Some people say UB. I say Ubi. But yeah, free games. They're nothing too crazy in there. Like they gave Rayman Origins last month. The month before that, I think it was Splinter Cell. The first one they started off with was Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, and this month it's The Crew. That's actually probably the most current game they've offered. But for the most part, it looks like they're doing more like their classic joints, like 5-10-year-old games, which is fine. Because sometimes you get nostalgia, you're like, I feel like playing that, but I don't feel like paying for it. But there you go, freebie.
And I mean, free games are free, so
yeah. What do you got to lose? You add it to your library. If you ever feel in the mood to play some of these older games, download it, install it, boom. Yeah, EA Origin has on the house. Right now, EA Origin has what's the game they got on there? Is it still Nox? I think it's still Nox. It's been Nox for it feels like 3 months, which is it's a good game. But oh, that's right, they got a new game now. It's October now. Blight Me keeping me honest. What is the new game? I should probably check it. Well, since I'm lagging, I'm not gonna pull it up. But if you happen to know what it is, Blight Me, let me know. I got some weird stuff going on this morning, or this afternoon rather. Huh. Other stuff in the news, we saw the Famicom Mini from Nintendo, which is the family computer, the overseas counterpart of the NES we saw here in the States. And it's got their iconic colors, like that weird kind of. It's like not a burgundy. It's a weird shade of red, but I kind of like it with the red and kind of grayish, eggshell, whitish kind of thing going on. It works. You know what I mean? It's a neat color, and it always fascinates me. We got the details on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Geeky Antics. But what interests me is, you ever thought about this, Oolong? In the States, when the NES. Oh, he said it's still The Crew. Okay, cool. So they haven't changed it yet. Thanks, man. What fascinates me about this is, in those early years of console gaming, And you gotta count the Atari, ColecoVision, television, all that stuff. But really, in the 8-bit eras, like a true 8-bit era, because a lot of people don't realize some of those early consoles before the NES and Sega Master System were 8-bit. They just weren't very, very powerful. And the NES was really good also at cheating to make it seem like it was more powerful than it was. People knew how to take advantage of the hardware. It's amazing what they were able to do with the limited hardware, because it was actually the vastly inferior console compared to the Sega Master System in terms of specs. But they found the tricks, and they gave the developer the tools. The developers were able to do stuff with it. But anyway, in overseas, the NES was the Famicom, the family computer. Here in the States, the NES was marketed as basically a toy. Is that interesting to you at all, Oolong? Like how they just kind of is a shift in how those things were pushed?
Well, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, you have to remember it's also it was a very cultural difference at that time. If they would have tried to market it out here as a computer back when it first came out, everyone was just like, anyone who was growing up was like, man, computers are for geeks and nerds and dorks, and it wasn't very, it wasn't even super acceptable in the culture here, but out there they were like, oh, it's new and high tech and this and that. They were a lot more accepting. But so when it came out here, they said entertainment system.
Yeah.
We were a culture that spent a lot of our time, buying VHSs and watching television and listening to the radio, stuff like that, And so if it had the word entertainment, it was a better marketing shot here. And though it was sort of marketed as a toy, it was also just kind of marketed as a babysitter out here. You put your kid in front of this video game and let them play till, the cows come home, yada yada.
See let's see what Blight me's saying. He said it didn't have the same public fail that was Atari and the fall of video games the way we did. That's true. I mean, we actually had in the States 2 video game crashes. Everybody talks about the one in, what was it, 84, 85? But there was another one that happened not long after. And there's been some dark spots for us. I mean, look at how much consolidation there is now in the industry compared to having the competition and diversity. I agree, like, the entertainment system thing probably was the right way to position it, but the fact that people were still looking at it as a toy, and I think a lot of this was the way the retailers looked at it, they didn't know where to place it. You saw a lot of times in the toy section, shelves stocked with NESs, right? And so it's like action figures, dolls, toy guns, and what's this thing? A Nintendo Entertainment System. What's that about? So it was a smart move in one way, but then it's actually interesting how much that stigma of video games being toys still exists, because they, as much as the industry has moved forward, I feel like there's still folks that really feel like, oh, that's for kids. Only kids play video games. Like, it's not as bad as it used to be, but there are still some weird people out there that are like, no, that's for immature people. That's for kids. Like, okay. I mean, have you encountered that at all?
Not as much, but like it's still there. Like there's still those moments.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, that some of the people that have that mentality play games themselves. They just don't realize it. He's like, oh, that doesn't count. It's on my phone.
Yeah.
And game mechanics are all around us. I mean, if you look at things like loyalty programs, that's like one of the best, or frequent flyer miles are like one of the oldest versions of loyalty programs. Retention programs where it's like, or rewards program. They're all the same thing. It's like, all right, we're trying to incentivize you spending more money with us, and we're giving you a small percentage back. And most of these programs, they basically just result in like a 1% return, So, but you're still effectively spending more money because it's gamified. So you're like, ooh, I could get more points if I spend more money. But yeah, you're just making them richer. So, but people, that are looking like that. It's gamification all the way. Blightme says, the only reason I think it caught on was by misinformed people that saved gaming by buying NES, SMS, and all that because they believed they were cheaper options to compute at the time. That is a very good point because microcomputers were super expensive. And you had your, Commodore 64 was the first one to really break the crazy expensive price points because, overseas you had things like the Amstrad, Spectrum ZX or the ZX Spectrum rather. I can't think of the names. Who were the other early ones? They had like the Tandies. Tandies were a little cheaper. That was like the Radio Shack computer. But like the early IBM compatibles, the Apple IIs. They had, Mac OS had like those like kind of those point and click adventure games and like the pseudo 3D games like Deja Vu, Shadowgate, all that stuff. That stuff was pretty faithfully ported over to the NES. They did make some compromises because there were some hardware deficiencies, but just say the 286 system, the 286 system and the 386 systems. I mean, x86 architecture has been around forever, but just you look at all the different players, and it wasn't until Commodore 64 came around and NES came around that you really got it to that sweet price point. But even the Commodore 64, that wasn't very user friendly because like you had to like basically be a somewhat capable coder in order to run stuff on there. Like that's where consoles find their niche of providing a computing experience without all the barrier to entry, and it was just the price. It was just the ease of use. I remember back in those early computer days, a lot of times what you would do is go into a command line or an interpreter and punch in code. Sometimes you'd have code on a floppy disk, a 5 1/4-inch floppy, or a tape. Oh gosh, those tapes. Those were good times. Or you would write the code line from line from like a magazine you had. Tape drive. Ugh. When the tapes would get stuck or just like unwind and it'd be a hot mess. Oh, it's the worst. Or have a tape snap on you. And hopefully it would snap in a place where you could like tape over it or maybe like use some other kind of adhesive. Like, ugh, man, we've come a long way. But I am thankful because now I appreciate how far the technology has come. For people that have come into the really high-tech age, they're so entitled because they didn't have to deal with all the crap we had to. Right, Oolong?
Yeah. I remember, what was it? I wanted to play Mega Man back in the day, right? And I had a 386, like a Computine 386. And I had to find I think it was like 3 to 5, 3.5 discs, like the floppies.
Yeah.
And it blew me away because I was like, man, this all fits on all these 3.5s. I still had like a small stack container of like, I don't know, I think it was about 25 1/4s that I wound up putting one game on.
Oh, I know. It was crazy. Because if I recall, the 5 1/4, even though they were bigger diskettes, or they were bigger discs, because the 3.5-inch ones were considered diskettes, they were actually half the size. They were like 512 or like 7-something KB, kilobytes. And then like the 3.5-inch floppy disks, they tapped out, I think, in 1.44 megabytes. Which at the time was considered like a lot, but you still wouldn't, for like the higher end games, you need like 10 to 20 discs. I remember the biggest game I ever had, it was like, I want to say it was like a 50 diskette game. And at that point it was like, yeah, you gotta start using CDs. Or Jazz Drive, or Zip Drive. Remember iOmega?
Oh my god.
He said, did they ask you if you used CGA or VGA at the time?
I used VGA back then.
CGA was kind of rough. Another thing, like I remember during that time, you had the Hercules video cards, the NVIDIA of the day. Not really, but it was like, you know, it was a big deal when you could have more than 2 colors. Like there was a lot of monochrome stuff early on.
Yeah, like my computer was all sorts of fancy from back in the day. Like I had the VGA. I was the first kid on my block who got the 14.4 modem.
Oh my God!
Like in my whole neighborhood, I had a 14.4 modem, and everyone was just blown away. They were like, "Oh my gosh!" And I was like, "Yeah, that's right."
Oh
I
man!
can respond on bulletin boards so much faster now. You don't even know.
See, Blight me's talking about the amber monitor, that like orangey, goldish kind of color. Yep.
Oh, I remember them. I remember having one of those. And, it was all just back in the day, man. What can I say? Back in the day. I don't want to say the good old days because they were rough, but back in the day.
See, it was great though because that limited functionality with the computer, you spent that money, you're like, well, what can I do with this thing? It forced you to get into coding and to start tinkering with under the hood and doing stuff, and that's really why I learned so much coding back then. Is, you know, there wasn't really much else to do.
Yeah. Heck, I mean, it was so user unfriendly. Like even back when I eventually got Windows 3.1, like way back when Windows 3.1 was a thing, I remember like there were so many issues that I'd come up against, and every time I had to find out a solution, like I'd be roaming through the stores and looking at computer magazines, and it's like, oh, well, I've got to figure out how to put this code into my computer. And so even, you know, whether I knew what it did or not, and usually they were pretty good about explaining it, you roll through and like you either bought the magazine, or if you were tricky like me, what you did is bought a $1 candy bar and then wrote the line of code on the back of the receipt. So you didn't have to buy the magazine and you had a candy bar.
Oh, man, yeah.
And then you'd go home and start fidgeting with it.
Good times. I'm very thankful we went through those struggles. It was good times, man. Blight Me says, I want to know why we had color TVs but monitors only came in green or amber. Wouldn't be black and white be easier and better and easier? Yeah, you would think that, but like, you know, it's the tech wasn't cheap, and like computers were more like a show off piece. You know, like, hey, I could afford to get this. It wasn't very practical, right? It was also like a kind of thing like science and math geeks were like, look at all these calculations I could perform here. You know, it's kind of just a glorified calculator, really, in many ways.
I also think the Amber was sort of based around a myth at the time. That was like, you know, if you have the Amber screen, the way that the lighting would be, it wouldn't hurt your eyes as much because you were always sitting closer to a computer monitor than you were a television. And they always said, if you sit that close to the TV, you're going to go blind.
That's true, yeah.
And so they used it to kind of dissuade the myth that sitting that close to the monitor is going to give you bad eyesight or make your eyes go bad by going, well, it's amber, since it only works in one color. It's not as big of an assault to your eyes as if you had all the colors right up next to your face. And at the time, I mean, you got to think a lot of stuff was still running in DOS prompts, so it's not like it was super color intensive. And by the time it started getting more graphically impressive, VGA had kind of started taking over in the more dominant space.
Yeah, I mean, VGA was the standard for so long, too. And then the video local bus came around and made everything even better. I mean, good times. But I wonder what would have happened if there was a push for black and white. I feel like people would have looked at it and been like, "That's old. No one uses black and white anymore," you know. But
Yeah.
nowadays, if you get something like that, people be like retro, and they can put it out in the premium, right? I can totally see that being a thing.
Grandparents are like, I remember having a black and white TV. It's a computer, Grandpa. Like,
Well, not even the like the baby boomers or the old fogies. I'm talking about like the hipsters will be like, yeah, retro. Like I always crack up when you see like these teens and like young 20-somethings that are like, oh man, I love retro gaming. And then when they talk retro, like the furthest back they'll go maybe is 16-bit, but they usually talk about like early PlayStation, and I'm like, wow.
yeah, they're like, oh, I love retro. So back on the Super Nintendo, right? And it's like, what? Just what?
Bright Me says VGA was the big break. We had mono, then CGA for years, then cyan and off pink with Still Haunt My Dreams. Oh gosh, the magentas. That's like they call that off pink color, the magenta color. Yeah. Oh man, that reminds me. Whenever I think of cyan and the off pink color, the first game that comes to mind for me is Mr. Doo's Castle, which I love. But that color palette, though. Good times. And Gunny Chief says the Fallout series agrees. I guess with the black and white thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh no, they do the green tint. Commander Keen, yes, Commander Keen is another good one for that color palette. I was just gonna say that too. Moving around those tiles. The game reminds me of another game called Oedipus Plex on original Game Boy. It's a puzzle solving type of thing. You gotta move these little boxes around to get through. It's kind of like those old puzzles where you have the numbered tiles and you gotta like shuffle them around so you can put them in order. You know what I'm talking about? Or something they do it with pictures.
Oh yeah, like the slide puzzles.
Yeah, the slide puzzles. I used to love those, man. I used to spend so much time on those.
I was a Maniac Mansion fan.
Oh yeah.
If I think back to like my older games I was playing, it was like Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy with like the super skinny pixelized like people that had all the funny expressions. Maniac Mansion, the original XCOM. I remember I got the original XCOM.
Well, that's when it was called UFO Defense.
Yeah, it was XCOM UFO Defense.
Yep.
And I got it from Target for like $5 because they used to have this old like discount computerware section where like games that were really were selling for $50 and $60. You waited a few months, and if they hadn't sold, they'd put it on this old $5 section.
Yeah.
So I remember doing that.
Oh, I used to love the bargain bins. Like, that's something we've lost with the digital transition. I still like physical. This is something nice about grabbing something out of a bin and getting a deal. Like, and the best places to go are not the gaming stores. The best places to go are the places that don't normally carry that stuff, like Sears. Sears, I remember shortly, like maybe a few months after Enchanted Arms came out, which wasn't as bad game. And now people, after the fact, are really loving on it. But they had the collector's edition for like $5-10. Ridiculous. Because a lot of time with these stores that don't normally they sell games, but they don't really focus on that. They have stuff sitting in the back in the stock room that they don't put on the shelves. It's just collecting dust, and then they don't bother putting a price ticket on it. So sometimes you just go into those stores and just say, hey, do you have any video games in the back? I'm looking to buy a few things today, some unusual purchases. They'll go in the back, tell you what they have, or maybe they'll bring it out, and then they won't know what they have in them half of the time, and then they just put the little price gun on it and be like, oh, this is 50 cents. That's an Xbox Live subscription card. I'll take it. The silliest thing. Like, the way retail depreciates is so silly. Like, and you only get that depreciation with physical stuff. With digital, you lose that, and that's one of my biggest problems. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree?
I think it still depreciates. It just does it much, much slower.
Oh yeah,
And that's the issue. Because they don't have a physical investment in it, it's literally just lines of code stored onto a drive. They can sit there and be like, well, usually, like with Doom, remember I was talking about Doom when it first came out. I was like, yeah, it's $60 now, but getting a physical copy from GameStop in a couple months is going to drop down to 40 or 30 or 20. The thing is, if you go to buy Doom digitally still, unless you find it on sale, it's still going for $50 to $60. And like, if I go get a physical copy from a GameStop, I'm only going to pay about $30. And that's where, they have to make some kind of money on that because they have it sitting on a physical medium. It costs them X amount to put those lines of code onto a disk and then package it inside of this packaging and create a booklet for it. So it would depreciate because they would start really concerning that they weren't going to make their money back that they'd put in on the disc.
Clearance sales, liquidation. They're like, let's get it out of here. Let's refresh our stock.
Yeah, because we only have so much shelf space for what we've got. And all the new stuff coming out.
Yeah, Black Me wants to make the distinction that the publisher does all that stuff, the packaging and all that stuff. That's something like publishers used to have a much more fun job before. Because it wasn't just about determining distribution channels and slapping a label on it. It used to be a lot more like they used to think about the fun ways to package stuff, like especially with the PC stuff, the microcomputer stuff. You had some unusual box sizes, which was terrible for retailers because they're like, how do I fit this on shelves? This hexagonal thing. This thing's shaped like a boot. Where do I put this? Like weird shaped boxes. But it was cool. It was fun back then to browse retail stores and just judge books by their covers because you'd be like, oh, what's this box art about? I mean, like even with the NES stuff. Like the iconic Konami art, they always had I felt like all the Konami art, they had the little lines on the side, and then like the the centerpiece image, right? And then of course the Konami logo you could always recognize. It looks like a D-pad, but like an angle. But I always felt like they used a lot of realism in their cover art, and they also had a lot of shades of orange and reds in there. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah, well, okay, so the biggest one for me was, one of the things I loved about physical is, you ever get Final Fantasy as a kid? Like, the original NES?
It's still my favorite of all time.
The book for that, the art style in that book was amazing. It looked crazy good, and, they kept that art style for... six games straight, basically. They kind of CGI'd around 7. But for 6 games straight, there was an artist that would make these intricate, almost like portrait painting style character renditions of, if we had better graphics, this is what these characters would look like.
Yep.
And so when you were playing with your little pixelized 8-bit or 16-bit character, you're like, oh... they would look like this, and so you kind of got to use your imagination too, and now that aspect's just died. They're like, the character looks like what it looks like in the game. Deal with it.
There's a lot of imaginary. I mean, publishers used to pack in posters from the different advertising partners. They would have, of course, they put it together. You had somebody packing the instruction book. I mean, the Final Fantasy instruction book was if I recall, it was pretty thick. It was a good 30 pages or so.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a small book, but now still a big deal. You open up this thing, and it's this thick book, and then you're like, whoa, what is this? And you just it was very clear to see when you were getting value for your purchase. Now you have to buy limited editions to get what we used to get, some of the basic stuff we used to get just for buying the game, period. So it's again, taking value out of the product so you could charge more later. Every other industry is doing, especially the food industry. Don't get me started on that. In the
And it's
chat.
funny, like, did you ever play Star Tropics?
Yes. Yep.
Like, Star Tropics was one of the first games to introduce anti-piracy feature.
Oh, where you had to go to the page, turn to a page, and enter the thing there. Yep.
You had to go to a specific spot in the book, and you had to enter this little 4-digit code, and if you borrowed the game or something, that's where it stopped. So it was like a demo at that point to you. But if you had the game, or you had, like, your friend was cool enough to lend you the book, then you'd get the code, you could play through. But, like, anyone who tried to get it off the internet or pirate it, it was like, nope, you can't do it because you don't have the booklet. Sorry.
Yeah, I had mixed feelings about that because it also hurt the aftermarket. Or if you lost the book,
well, now you can Google it, but
back then the internet wasn't what it was.
Back then it wasn't really an option.
Yeah, you had like bulletin board systems and Usenet, but it was a challenge to find that information. Now it's more centralized.
Or you have to use a Game Genie and just kind of hexadecimal your way through it.
Yeah. Game Genie. What a great idea. Lock on technology. Good times. So the Gunny Chief says in the chat, I do spend a ton of cash being all in digital. Digital, it does have its place, like, especially if you take advantage of rewards programs out there. You get the different perks. You usually get like coupons and stuff. Everybody's trying to get you to buy through their thing. Best Buy is getting a lot more aggressive. I still prefer Amazon Prime personally, and now they just did the Twitch Prime thing, which is pretty cool. More savings on video games, exclusive in-game content, and you get a free sub to a Twitch channel each month, amongst other things. So Amazon Prime just keeps getting better and better, and it's still $100 a year or $10 a month, roughly. What do we got here? I'm really trying to catch up in the chat. Oh, Blight Me brought up the No Man's Sky, which we were gonna get to, but I don't know if we should. Because that could be a whole thing. We're kind of running out of time. But they are under investigation by the ASA, the Standards Organization for Advertising. Because all the false advertising claims. It's kind of pretty serious, and I feel bad for Hello Games because especially Sean Murray. He is passionate, and Sony kind of set him up for failure too. Even though it's not their game, they were backing them, they were supporting them. And then one of the Sony reps basically said, "Oh, well, they should have had a marketing firm help them or a PR person. They really need some representation to better communicate, have better messaging." It's like, well, isn't that what you're supposed to be doing? So pretty disappointing. But I mean, again, it just points to me major shifts in the industry. It's really interesting. People could argue there was a lot of throwaway experiences back in the day, but at least I feel like people took more risks, and then there wasn't as much of the bait and switch that we see now. That's what I feel like.
True.
Then again, you could also say that your expectation was already set, that you were risking. Every purchase was a risk, right? You never knew, like, this could be a stinker. And you had reviews, sure. There were some video game shows on TV early on, magazines. But it's at the end of the day, you still took a risk. And sometimes it just came out to the box art, checking the back of it, and oh, I like the cover art. Let's go. That might have been all you had to go on, But a lot of things to think about. So yeah, he's saying the No Man's Sky right now, all the publisher issues have been put on the dev. That's not how the system used to run the game. The game is changing. Yeah, like the publisher just let them, hung them out to dry. It's just, it's bad business. Very bad business. Gunny Chief says the upside is game sharing with digital purchases. Yeah, that's true. Whatever it's called, I feel like I'm paying half price. Yeah, that's true. You can share the games. I still like having physical wherever possible, but it's the bad thing is even with the disc, you need to have it in a drive, but it still installs most of the time it installs 100% onto the disc, onto your storage device. So it's like, why do I need the disc in the drive if it's installing anyway? So that's a little silly, but like whatever. I don't know why you wouldn't take the license and attach it to your account off of the disc. You know what I mean? Like this with digital purchase, like that license is bound to your account, but I guess it's a different kind of model. That's kind of another benefit of disc. Like with the digital purchase, they could pull that license anytime and you can't play the game anymore. With the disc, you're a little more safe, as long as you don't go online at least.
Yeah.
What else we got here? He said, let's see what I'm trying to figure out what he was saying. Blight me, not the same thing in any way. You can compare the two then and now. Back when Final Fantasy was new, the book was all you had for the info in the game, unless you got the power. So it had to be inclusive. Today we have the interwebs. There are no physical copies of PC games anymore. They're just launchers now. Yeah, and I totally get that direction of it, but at the same time, it is the companies just trying to increase the profit margins. We can make all the apologies we want, but it's not really that cost prohibitive for them to include those things every now and then. Because I appreciate when I do find those little inserts in there, little stickers and instruction manuals that aren't just a 2-page, here's the gamepad, alright, good luck, you know? I think a lot of it is just trying to increase the profit margins, and sometimes you don't want to have to go into that. Sometimes you want to just jump right in. There's something to be said about, this is why unboxing. People have this urge for that to have that magic again. That's why we watch unboxing videos, which sounds like a weird thing, like voyeuristic viewing of people opening boxes. Well, that's why, because there's still something special about opening that stuff and seeing what's in the box. So now when you open a video game, unless it's a collector's edition, it's like, what's in the box? Okay, we got a disc and the insert that goes into the DVD sleeve. All right, cool. That's it. Thanks for watching my video. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Comment below. Yay! Wow. The most exciting video ever. So, there's still reasons I like physical, and I still think there needs to be a push for more physical stuff. And if you look at the tabletop industry, the tabletop gaming industry has had a massive resurgence because, and a big part of it, not just because of the Euro gaming movement, but it's because people like all the pack-ins and the quality they take into crafting the boxes and putting the inserts in there and the game components. It's a different experience, And some of these games are built upon mechanics seen in video games, like the Dark Souls game that got kickstarted for they got over, what is it, $2 million? Ridiculous. I mean, it's awesome, but crazy, When did the games have more? When did the games have more in the box? It's always been that way. No, there used to be a lot more in the boxes than what we get now. It hasn't always been this way. We that's all we remember now, but there used to be more stuff in boxes. A lot more stuff. At least you had a nice instruction manual where to show some effort. That wasn't just a little pamphlet,
Yeah. I remember back when I got Star Ocean, I got the Luna pendant, an art book, a CD of the game soundtrack,
Yeah, and these used to be
it wasn't
things
a limited edition. That was in the standard edition I got.
Exactly. These things we used to get standard are now being charged for. It's the same thing with DLC. Value being detracted from the core product so they can monetize it. It's the same thing businesses do in every other industry, and we have become apologetic for it, or we say, oh well, they need to make money and it's more sustainable. No, it's just because there's a crappy trickle down economy. The executives at the top are making bigger bank, and then the people on the bottom that are actually doing the hard work are barely getting anything more. The consumers aren't getting the extra savings. It's still the same price it's been. So it's just decreasing the profits. But it happened a lot more than we'd like to admit, and it was standard. The companies, publishers thought, this is a high risk. We put a lot of money into it. Let's invest a little bit more and add more value to that. Make the box bigger, pack in some more stuff, so people so this will come off the shelves and people will really give this a chance. Now, DLC is another great example. DLC is content that is 90% of the time or more available day one, but they release it after the fact so they could charge you more for it. So it's stuff that probably should have been in the launch title, but they decide, we'll take that out of the launch game and then we'll just charge them for it later. So for multiplayer games, it's a bad practice because they divide the gaming community, they split the community up, basically force you to buy stuff just so you can play with your friends. All these season passes. Now, when it first started off, it was something where, hey, this is how we could keep driving value for that purchase. But now they're literally remember when the content was kept on disc and all you would do is wait for them to release, quote unquote, release the content, and all it would do is download a few KBs because it was just a little key that would unlock, ready.
Mm-hmm.
It's video game I'm trying to see it is and it's a shame. You have to be make so yeah, it is partly greed. I know that it's yeah, no, I know it's cutting out, guys. I'm monitoring it. I've been having tech issues. Got to figure it out. But I don't know how much cut out. I'm monitoring as much as I can. But it is part greed. It is part greed. Yes, they have more units, but they're also making more per capita. There's other places they could bring down costs. So, as someone that's involved in the game industry, I'm not just speculating. I work with the game companies. I know how much they're spending on that stuff, and I understand that for the big companies that feel we shouldn't be as accommodating for them. I think a lot of time we become apologetic to what is kind of abuse to some degree. There's just either way you look at it, there's a certain magic we've lost recently, and it's not just nostalgia. There was more intimacy and more effort and kind of a craft involved when video games were put out. There still is now, but it's not quite the same. It's different, and not necessarily worse. But I miss some of the old stuff. That's what I'm saying. What do you think, Oolong?
There are times where I'm like, man, I really miss having a lot of the cool bonuses.
Yeah.
But then there's those moments where I'm like, dude, if I don't get to play this game at midnight, my head's going to explode, and I don't want to stand out in the cold waiting for it to come out. Yeah. Like I said, I've got Infinite Warfare kind of inbound, and I don't want to be standing out in front of a GameStop waiting for midnight release in November.
Yeah.
In Michigan. I think I'd just rather get it digitally, be pre-download the content so it just unlocks at midnight, and be comfortably sitting in my house playing at 12:01.
Yeah, and I think you're in that situation where the risks and the premium you pay for digital. You might miss out on better deals for physical, and that's fine, right? That's something you're willing to do because you're paying the premium basically for the convenience, and I think that's fine. I think and Blight me saying we got rid of newspapers due to the tech age we live in. We want the game companies to give extra stuff to a populace to thrive digitally because it's a waste of time and resources. I agree to disagree on that. And newspapers serve a very important part. We can't. That's another thing I'm really passionate about. John Oliver was talking about this. That we can't just rely on the online news. And and this is kind of we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot since we are a media outlet. We get press badges. We cover events. We don't get to go as often as we want, but we do get the access. And, we're on that thin line where it's like we're journalists, but we're more enthusiast press. And the true journalists are the ones that, went to school for that and are paid to do that and are providing unbiased and also news that you can't get anywhere else. Whereas online is more about what's going to give us more clicks. Let's go with what's popular, not what's important. And that's kind of that's the difference there. So newspapers still have a place. And it's kind of a shame that, what was it, the Chicago Tribune. Hey, this is local news for you. Well, your old hometown, Oolong. Chicago Tribune and 2 other newspapers that are part of that company were bought by this like billionaire, and now he wants to turn it into like basically tabloids to just get as many clicks and purchases as possible. He's like, well, if cute puppies sell, that's what I'm gonna print. It's kind of a shame. I say, well, let's see. We say the media servers. This is Blight Me again. He says, let's see. Oh, hey, that's you there. They have rumors about live action Lion King. Then they got the Beauty and the Beast live action. But Blight Me says the media servers serves an important part, not the way it is delivered. Oh, am I cutting off again? Hold on. Let me fix it.
No, it's a thing. Blight Me just informed me that Favreau's directing it, and it's a thing. The live-action Lion King thing is a thing.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, they had the Broadway show. It was pretty cool. So yeah, he said
it was on the back of the live-action Tarzan.
Yeah.
So
that's the trend. So Brightme said that the media serves an important part, not the way it is delivered. I say we go old school and bring back town criers. He's being facetious now. We don't have to go back that far back, but it is an important thing to have balance. Competition is always a good thing. I feel we should never go 100% digital. I think physical should always be an option. And there's always going to be a way to do that, because there's a place for it. What happens when the servers get compromised, or, there's I don't want to get into. I've gone into this rap before. Yeah, we got the compromise with the Lion King remake. I was just reading the chat. So anyway, before we close out, I want to talk about a game that does it right. This is what I would like to see more of. Games that are a platform, like Killer Instinct. I think that's a great game. They give it away for free. You get the basic version, and then if you like it, you get into it. You could buy into it, and you could buy different bundles, physical or digital, or you could buy the stuff a la carte. Smite, another game that does it right, and we have friends over at High Res Studios, great folks, Georgia-based company. Woo! So I'm a little partial to them, but like you could just earn everything in game. It's a free game, or you could buy their bundles, or buy the Ultimate God Pack and get every god that's available now, every character that's available now or in the future. Great business model. And Blamey says the fact that we get fluff because of advertising concerns is a bigger issue than there is no more newsstands. Yeah, I can see the argument too. But moving on though. Gunny Chief recommends Star Trek Online, free to play. I'm tempted, but I'm trying to avoid MMOs because I know how I am, and I still have Elder Scrolls Online and get a big guild over there for the Geeky Antics crew. But a game right now that is following this platform model, this kind of like what Destiny tried to do, but I feel they failed miserably in until they released the Teen King, and by then to me it was too late. But we're not gonna get into that one. Like me recommends Fractured Space. Rainbow Six Siege. I'm so into this game. I was always into it, but now like my love is just unequivocal, and just dude, I love this game.
I think it's funny because this is an entire 180 from where we were last year. Last year,
okay,
I was the guy who was the most hype about this game. Like,
you were
Die Hard. I couldn't wait for it to come out. I wanted to play it, and you were like, "Yeah, whatever. Meh, it might be okay. It's probably gonna be garbage. Whatever. Meh, yeah." And so I was super hype, and now that it's been out for a while and I've seen it, I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of crap." And you're like, "I love this game."
Well, see, like my default position with any game is I'm always like, meh, because I don't buy into things at first release. But then I got like gift cards, and then Amazon Prime did the whole get because they had the Black Friday sale. It was 20% off. Then on top of that, I got the 20% off with Amazon Prime for pre-orders. So by the time all my stuff was done, I paid like $20 for the game. So it was a no-brainer. And I've gotten more than that my money's worth out of it. You know, like I just looked and I've logged like 180 hours in the game, which it hasn't felt like that at all. That's how fun it is, and you lose track of time with it.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that's rare for me. Like, if you know me, I play games here and there, and I might love them, but it's hard for me to go back to them because, you know, life happens. But now, like, this is a game where I have to get my Siege fix every day, or at least every other day. And a big part of it is this is a game done right. You know, you could buy it dirt cheap, and it comes with a lot of value packed in. You can unlock all the content.
Where can you buy it dirt cheap? I've yet to find it dirt cheap.
If you buy physical, you could get it for under $20. They got the starter edition on PC for $15. That's standard. And they have sales on that all the time.
But I can't play the starter edition because all my friends are on console.
I love this game so much. I have it on PC and Xbox One, but I play it more on Xbox One. I gotta be honest.
Yeah,
that's what friends are. But I've seen it on Xbox One for under $20. Keep an eye out, man. Set up a watch list. You know.
I think I'm gonna have to
go to Google. One thing to do is go to Google Alerts, and you just set up like a keyword search. Do something like Rainbow Six Siege sale. Do that, and you can have it notify you the moment stuff comes up via email, and you catch those deals. Little pro tip there. Google Alerts is really useful. I mean, Google has all the data points. Might as well set up alerts through them.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Gunny Chief loves it too. Siege is a lot of fun. Blight Me, he's got Siege for 75% off on G2A. Which I like G2A, and we use G2A. You know, it's a good deal. But this is a game that I don't mind paying full price for. You know, I mean, I even spent some gift card monies on it. So, if I had spent the full money, I still would have loved it. I love Overwatch too, but the thing is, Siege is just, there's something about it that's just so sticky. I just love the style of game. Like, I don't really like Call of Duty as much like as I used to. But Search and Destroy is my jump off. Like, I love Search and Destroy because it's like it's really intense. You have to be tactical. You have one life. You have to make it count. So you're gonna be extra careful, extra stealthy, extra sneaky. Because if you get killed, well, then you're done. You know. So it forces you to get better and better. So Siege has that essence that I love right there. But it's really a team-oriented game, and it's just. So every round is just so intense. Like you hear the sounds, you're trying to figure out where they're coming from. You're paying attention to your environment. You're communicating with your team. You're marking things on the map. You know, you're using different gadgets to help you get an upper hand. I mean, you have light, medium, and heavy armor classes, and each of them play differently. Like with light, you could bob and weave and kind of Matrix style fight and avoid getting shot. Like it's neat. You know, with heavy armor, you're like, I'm a juggernaut. You know, this game, man, I'm still going back to Overwatch, to Battlefield 4, and Battlefront. All those games offer great things, and of course, I love Doom. That's been a big sleeper as well. But Siege is my go-to game, man. But Mr. Siege is great for only one reason: you can break, shoot, blow.
It did have that Red Faction feel, which I thought was pretty nice and pretty amazing. Like, I think that's something that helps the replay value, though.
Yeah.
Because you can destroy parts of the environment, you're less likely to play the same game twice, because just because your last team went in through the ceiling doesn't mean this next team's going to do that. Maybe they open a hole in the wall and charge through there, or someone shoots from the ceiling and then drops a flashbang in while the wall blows out. They just overtake you. Like there's so many options that it keeps the gameplay fresh and the design ideas unique.
Yeah, exactly. Like people say, well, the content's shallow. They've released a lot of maps. Each map, like favelas. If you look at favelas, that's a map that is like perfect in my opinion, because it's no matter how many times you play it, you find more nooks and crannies. It's vertical, because most maps nowadays are very flat when you really look at it. You don't really go up and down that much. It's left and right. Check your corners, move back and forth. That's it. It's not really true 3D. This is taking full advantage of it. You gotta look it up in the windows, see if someone's trying to snipe you. You gotta use your cover effectively as you go through the streets to get to the building. Find your points of entry. Try to have people in the windows to try to pick off folks that might be roaming around. Have effective call-outs, and it's just really good. And like you said, every round is like its own narrative, its own game script. There's always something fun to take away, something interesting to take away from each experience. Like, the other time, one match, this guy tried to be fancy. Last guy on his team, he's defending the hostage. He takes on a nitro cell because two people are about to rush in on him. They peek around the corner, he sees them, and then he backs up, throws the nitro cell, try to be fancy and kill them both at the door, because they were hugging the threshold of the door. And instead of just keeping it simple, falling back and just trying to have a firefight, he does the nitro cell, a little risky. And what he does, he throws the nitro cell at the hostage and kills himself and the hostage. So it's funny. Oh, Blight Me just got the Division. That's another game I gotta go back to. I gotta go back to that game for sure on Xbox One. Gunny, I have a low-level character. We'll play Division. I need to get the season pass for that, though. I want to play all that content, or at least get the underground. That's the only reason I haven't played it lately. See, Rainbow Six Siege, you can earn all that stuff just by playing the game, and it's good times. Tiger Claw asking about Curse. I used to use Curse. I don't use it as much. I only use Curse when I'm doing heavy PC gaming. Discord is just a lot more convenient. Curse was really hot, and then they tried to bring it back by Twitch acquiring them. But Discord is just the hotness, because now you can be in multiple servers. It's a lot more convenient, But Curse is cool, because some games support it natively, and now Twitch is supporting it, so that is handy. Gunny Chief said he's level 16 in the Division. Yeah, I think I have a character around that level. If not, I'll just power level you. That's what I do to people. Because I think all my characters might be close to the max now. I gotta double check. It's been a while. So what else? So with Siege, I know I'm like beating the dead horse, but I can't recommend it enough. It's gonna be like everybody like, oh, so what are you playing these days? Siege. What else are you playing? Siege. I mean, I'm playing Hearthstone and Faria and some other games, but like, if you want to know the multiplayer game that I'm mainly playing, Siege, and then Overwatch here and there, and then some other games, but really Siege. 3 Yogizillas on Curse. I'm all of them. Someone that beat me? What? Yeah, Blight Me. Blight Me. Like, Curse is centric, and Discord is more to use. So yeah, exactly my point. Man, my mic keeps cutting out. I think next week I know what's going on. It's different apps fighting over the access to the microphone, and Obs doesn't like sharing apparently.
No, it does not.
It didn't used to be like that, That's something recent. And even when you change that option on Windows to allow apps to have exclusive access, it still doesn't make a difference. Dope. I'll have to check Tiger Claw. I haven't loaded up Chris in a while, to be honest. So, another thing that I like about Siege, what the heck? Yoma is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost? Wow. Nice. That's blasphemous, but it's funny. I just love tactical shooters. You know what it is? Like I just love the whole thing of moving together as a unit. Everybody has their roles. You pick skills and positions to complement each other. It's just the synergy, synergy. That's what it is. Just working together, man. Like I love just team games when there's objectives and that's just let's just shoot each other. That's fun too. That has its place, but like it's just intense. Like palms getting sweaty, your heart's beating. When you're the last man standing, and then like Gunny was saying, like he'll scream at me, like watch the window, which one? There's 10 of them. It's just like you're just pooping yourself, and you're like but it's a good kind of like stress, like it gets you hyped. Like it's just. For me, at my age, any game that get me so hyped and excited and get me energetic and make me feel young again, that's a good game. Because most games I'll enjoy them, but it doesn't give me that level of it, like excitement and just hype. This game does. Just like, oh yeah. Blight Me says Siege is great until you unlock Ash and rocket a person face off, and that's all you play. Oh, that's just me. A lot of people do find their favorites, and Ash is very popular. But I like to rotate my characters around all the time, especially as I see what other people on my team are rocking. I try to pick characters that complement them. But Ash is very popular. I don't think she's an auto pick though, because again, light armor is very situational, and the one hit light armor stuff, it's brutal. Like it's if they get upper body or higher shot, you're pretty much dead. You're like chest or higher, you're dead. Obi said, I guess I'll play Siege by myself. I'm finishing the show. I said I'll be on after the show. Jesus. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. Gonna have a little smoke break. Before we wrap up, Oolong, I'm sorry, I got really into the Siege love. Is there anything you wanted to add? Anything you've been playing? Anything quick plugs?
Things I've been playing. No, I'm pretty much on hold for Infinite Warfare, man. Honestly, that's my next big one. The beta coming out here in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
And then it's going to be 2 straight weekends full of the beta, and then the actual game release comes out after that. So yeah, I'm kind of hype. I think here in about 3 days, I'm going to have access to play the Modern Warfare Remastered campaign because I got the digital deluxe. So I'm really interested to see how they remastered COD 4, which is probably one of my favorites of all time, as I think it is for most Call of Duty players.
Agreed.
That's pretty much the big one.
And I'll be joining you on there, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna be streaming that. You're gonna be joining it?
Yeah, I'll be in on Infinite Warfare day 1.
No,
more than likely.
No.
Oh no, you're on PlayStation 4.
Yep.
Sorry.
I was like, I won't be able to play with you. I'm getting it on PS4 because competitive.
Well, so much for that. But for whoever else will have it, then we'll play on Xbox One. If you have it on Xbox One.
Yeah, you'll be joining Obi.
There you go.
Because I'm sure Obi will be getting it on the Xbox One.
We used to play.
Potentially be playing the remastered, and
we used to play Black Ops 3 for giggles.
I still play that. Actually, do you have any of the maps on that?
No, probably won't get them.
I'm looking for someone. I want to try and do all the zombie Easter egg stuff before the new map drops on Xbox One here in like later this week. I think Tuesday, I believe, is when the new or Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe I'm off on that. It might be like.
How much
later,
is the season pass?
It's like $50. So yeah, I wouldn't invest in that this late in the life cycle, but you gotta do all the other Easter eggs for the potential of the super Easter egg, basically. So
Blight Me says he likes Payday 2 for giggles. That's a good game. I think I have it on Xbox and PC. I know I have it on PC.
On Steam. Or no, I don't. I have Payday 1. I never did pick up Payday 2.
Yeah, Payday 2 is good. It actually reminds me a lot of Rainbow Six Siege in some ways.
Yeah.
But
I thought about picking up Black Ops 3 for PC because the zombie mod tools dropped. And there's actually like a free play weekend right now going on for Black Ops 3 on Steam. So you can kind of see some of the stuff people are doing with it and the custom zombie maps that are coming out.
Maybe.
Something to check out.
Well, folks, we do have to wrap up. So if you want to keep the conversation going, you catch us on Xbox Live. I'm YogiZilla. What's your Xbox Live tag? Is this IQ Freak Show?
I think it's IQ Freak Show.
With spaces.
IQ with space and then Freak Show, no space. PS4, if you guys are getting Infinite Warfare and just want someone to play with, if I have an available moment, I will definitely hit you guys up. I'm also IQ Freak Show on there. And then pretty much it's funny, like it's IQ Freak Show on all the console stuff. You go to the PC side, it's all F8TL either _blades like it is on Twitch or just Fatal Blades, F8TL Blades on Twitter. So
no brand consistency, man. You're killing me.
I'm eventually going to be unifying everything under the TSE Blades brand, but it's a lot of communication with different stuff. Like Twitch won't let me change over to TSE Blades, and I don't want to lose all the followers and people that I'm usually talking with on Twitch. Twitter won't do it as well, so it's kind of frustrating. You have to get a hold of people and be like, look, I want to change this up and make it like this. I want to make it TSE Blade so I can brand under just one total grouping. But no one wants to play nice when you're trying to rebrand.
That's a discussion for another time, too. Blight Me has a hookup for you, too, in the chat. To learn more about the gang, get to connect with us, we're Geeky Antics everywhere, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter. Look us up. Connect with us. Of course, we got the Xbox Gaming Club for the Geeky Antics Network. You can do the LFG there. Take a quick break. We'll be on Xbox Live after the show. If anybody wants to play Siege, I think Obi's already on there. He's nagging that I'm not on time. And we went long. We actually went longer than we expected because Oolong came just in time. We had some good conversation. Went down memory lane. Talked about Siege. Talked about life. It's a good time. Surprise show. See, it started off as the Extra Life Special Edition, then it went Retro Friday all of a sudden. Good times. But anyway, folks, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and don't forget Extra Life, geekynet.net/Extra Life. Join us on Facebook. Let's unite as gamers and geeks and do beautiful things together. See you next time. Peace.
We thank you. We thank you for every crumb, biscuit and cake you bring to the table. Because Doctor Who belongs to all of us. What you bring to the timey-wimey tea time in your live chat participation, comments, likes, shares, tweets and voicemail, all of it means the world to us. Love, true love never fails. Do you like it? If you like what we're doing, well, tell us for God's sake. Shout it from the rooftops at geekyantics.net. or call it in 206 415 4987. That's 206 415 4987. That's it. Bless you. So long. And thanks for all the fish. But on, it won't be that long, just a wee while, because the timey-wimey tea time will be back. We'll return next Saturday with fresh insights, questions and epiphanies about Doctor Who. And heck yes, everything geek. Maybe same bat time, absolutely the same bat channel, every Saturday.
Tiny Wimey Tea Time.
Me gusta.